Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have Kiran Bedi Ji with us, and Suresh Ediga is our host. So Suresh, please take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri. Welcome back to NRISamay, friends. We bring you an hour filled with untold stories, unheard voices, and honest perspectives from different corners of India, from different walks of life. This week, we are really proud to bring you Kiran Bedi Ji, a core member of Team Anna, to discuss the road ahead for Lokpal. First of all, ma'am, on behalf of all our listeners and from the team of NRISamay, a very happy Baisakhi and a very happy New Year.
Thank you, and wish you the very same. If it's colder there, then I hope to send you some warmth from here.
Thank you, ma'am. Without wasting much of time, and just to let you know, we have got an overwhelming response for the show today, ma'am. So without any further delay, I'm going to start the interview. There were some very strong reservations on certain aspects of the bill, as in the Lokayuktas or the judiciary or the lower bureaucracy, CBI. But if I were to ask you to pick the one most contentious issue that you could not have compromised on, what would that be?
The most important part of the whole agitation has been, the cause of the agitation has been CBI's partisanship, CBI's political control. In fact, that was the whole crux of the whole agitation, that the India's Central Bureau of Investigation has been politicized. It has been politically manipulated, and this has been admitted by every political party, both on the floor of the House. So it's not my view that it's my perception. It's the perception of the political parties themselves. Not only a few months ago, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is on record to say that every political party has used and abused the Central Bureau of Investigation. Now, the whole agitation, the reason of the agitation was to make the Central Bureau of Investigation independent. Once it's independent, who does it work with? Who does it report to? All it needed was a removal of the political cap from a political partisan cap to a non-partisan professional cap, which is a Lokpal, which does not interfere with its autonomy in investigation, but provides it administrative control. So I come to your answer. The most uncompromisable issue, the contention issue, has been whether that has been fulfilled. Unfortunately, that was not. The Lokpal bill, which was being passed by majority vote, obviously majority being of the ruling party, which is the Congress, passed a bill without losing control or letting go its control of the CBI. They retained the administrative control. Now, this is the bill which the Lok Sabha passed. Once it went to the Rajya Sabha, in the Rajya Sabha, it turned around. It changed position. The left parties and the BJP moved amendments to make the CBI autonomous, or in other words, make the CBI report to Lokpal instead of the administrative control of the government in power. Whereas the second thing, so we did see a change. Lok Sabha passed one form of bill, which we were very wary of, because we did not want the CBI to retain a status quo. In the Rajya Sabha, it changed, and the Congress not being in majority in Rajya Sabha, whereas the opposition, the other parties are, the BJP is the majority party in the Rajya Sabha. However, they could not pass the bill because the clock struck 12 and the House was adjourned sine die. So I would say, from the civil society point of view, the whole reason for the agitation was to take away CBI from the administrative control of the government, which we have yet, it's still in limbo, and this is most uncompromisable part of the whole issue of the Lokpal as far as civil society movement is concerned.
I see. So is it fair to say, ma'am, that if CBI is granted the autonomous stature, then would Lokpal still need an independent investigative agency, or would you be okay with CBI just having its own authoritative powers?
No, the CBI has to come as a block. CBI itself has been wanting to move away from the government control, which is its appointments, with its transfers, its budgetary bills, its approval of the lawyers, its clearance of the appeals. It's been wanting to move away from the control of the law ministry and the Department of Personnel to the Lokpal. It has been asking for it. In fact, it's been asking, it's been desiring it. We would think that the whole objective would be fulfilled and the need would be fulfilled if the CBI as whole organization moves towards Lokpal, and Lokpal provided its administrative support without interfering in its investigations, which are strictly according to the law.
I see. Okay. Coming to the lower bureaucracy, the Group C and Group D officers, as part of the research that we were doing, we read it in the news that there are about 60 lakh Group C and Group D officers. And if we talk about the Karnataka Lokayukta, there are about 17,000 cases in the lower bureaucracy that are still pending. The reason I'm asking this is because Team Anna has been a very strong proponent of bringing in the Group C and Group D officers under the purview of Lokpal. But given these numbers, do you still think that they should be brought under Lokpal and there would be enough resources at its disposal?
Once the Central Bureau of Investigation comes to Lokpal, all these services naturally come in Lokpal, because the CBI already covers these agents, covers all the services. CBI covers everybody. CBI covers the Prime Minister. CBI covers, by the way, even the judiciary. By practice, you may not be registering FIRs. By precedent now, by habit, by an understanding, you may not. But as far as the prevention of corruption is concerned, which the CBI enforces, there is no immunity and no exclusion. In fact, it is now being excluded by the Lokpal, where they are restricting the Prime Minister's investigation. It's keeping the judiciary completely out. It's taking away the corruption committed by the parliamentarians on the floor of the House, like buying and selling of votes, and then excluding the category of B and of the C and D services. That is why, if the Central Bureau of Investigation would come, the Central Bureau of Investigation being available in all the states, present in all the states, all it needed was strengthening of the Central Bureau of Investigation. You would have had all the services covered. Absolutely regrettably, we've created a situation by exclusion. I tell you, these were all distractions. The real crux has been, why doesn't the government let go of its control of the CBI? Had it let go of, all these issues were not relevant, because the CBI already covers the 60 lakh people. All it needed was to strengthen it. And remember, corruption is not committed by 60 lakh everybody at the same time. You raise the deterrence, you raise prevention, you collect intelligence, and catch the big fish, and catch people red-handed. And Anna's movement was right, Anna's priority was right, that the real corruption is the common man's extortionist corruption, like coming out of Naregas, coming out of panchayats, coming out of passports, coming out of rations, coming out of irrigation, post and telegraphs, railways, which are central services, which even now the CBI catches these people. It would have continued to catch. On the contrary, the deterrence would have gone up, punishment would have been finality, and all you needed to have done was raise Central Bureau of CBI's resources.
Right. And moving on to the Lokayuktas, ma'am. I know there were a lot of debates within the parliament itself. Primarily the BJP and the Congress had very strong stances taken on this, and Team Anna also had their opinions on this. Would you be able to kindly reiterate your stance on the Lokayuktas? Do you want this to be implemented as part of the Lokpal, or would it be up to the states to implement as and when deemed necessary?
one of the unanimous resolution of the Parliament, which was passed, which made Anna break his fast on the 12th day, was a similar effective Lokpal would be a model bill for the rest of the states, and it will be applicable to the rest of the states, which means a strong Lokpal would become strong Lokayuks in all the states. This is a resolution passed by the Parliament, of which all political parties are signatory to. In a way, signatory means it was a resolution of the sense of the House, in which whether they were opposition parties or party in power, they've all unanimously passed a resolution that you will have the same Lokpal as Lokayuks in the states. Now, this is what the Congress party stood honored. In a way, it's honored. It passed a bill which said, and they passed it under a clause by which they could do it because they said they had taken the advantage of since it was following the UN convention, they could bring it under certain clauses of the Indian Constitution by which they could pass a similar law because it came under criminal justice issues. Now, the Congress party, the party in power in Lok Sabha, which is the Congress, honored its resolution by saying, here is the Lokpal, which will be also Lok Ayukta in the states. But it was a very weak bill. So while it honored on one hand, it did not have an effective Lokpal, which was an extension of the same central law to the states as a weak bill. Well, so be it. The point is, technically, they honored the Parliament resolution. When it came to the Rajya Sabha did not honor that resolution, which it did. Three parties which broke that resolution. One was the Trinamool Congress, and the second was the leader of the main opposition party, which is the BJP. Both took a stand that the government of India or the party in power could not have passed a central legislation in this regard, and they took umbrage under another clause by which they thought this could not have been centrally legislated. At that time, they forgot the fact that they had committed itself to passing to that unanimous resolution. As far as Team Anna is concerned, Team Anna wants that United Nations, the UN wants that unanimous resolution to be honored, which is same Lokayuk coming from the same Lokpal. But unfortunately, our dilemma is, what kind of Lokayuk? This kind of weak bill in which the CBI is still under the administrative control of the government of India or the party in power, which means a weak bill, which if some states want a strong bill, that means they will be emboldened to or bound by a weak bill of the central government. So on one hand, you want a similar, we as Team Anna want an effective Lokayuk. On the other hand, we don't want the states to be chained by a weak Lokpal, which the central government, which the Lok Sabha was passing. And I give you one example. Uttarakhand, as a state, has passed a very strong Lokayuk, which is letter and spirit the Jan Lokpal bill drafted by Team Anna, which makes very effective provisions in prevention corruption. Do you know what? Because it has certain provisions of it had to be cleared by the government of India, it's still in limbo. It's not been cleared yet. That is unfortunate. Now that is being overruled if the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha pass a weak Lokpal and a binding Lokayuk, then Uttarakhand's effort, which also, by the way, was passed unanimously by the Uttarakhand Assembly, which included all political parties, would be overruled by a weak Lokpal. So as the Team Anna is concerned, it wants a uniform law. But the dilemma in which is, what kind of bill? The kind which has been passed in the Lok Sabha? So therefore, we are in a way, it's a blessing in disguise. On one hand, there's a violation of the unanimous resolution. On the other hand, a weak Lokpal has been avoided and averted, by which the states have been saved from a very weak Lokayuk.
All right. We have a caller who's wanting to ask you a question. Can the caller please state your name and the place where you're calling from, and keep your question short, please?
I'm Rajaram Boji from Herndon, Virginia. Mrs. Bedi, I have one question to you. When we got independence, the Britishers left us with Official Secrets Act. I have got a serious concern that our bureaucracy in their business rules have arbitrarily applied this Official Secrets Act, and we ourselves bureaucrats created a shroud of secrecy for all the government working, which was not necessary once we are republic with citizens having right to supervise the government servants. Accepting national security and other issues, all other files should be naturally public along with the order once government order is passed. Why we are not demanding for this, please?
You have very rightly, you've actually put the finger on the right spot. India is seriously lagging in legal reforms. Official Secrets Act should have been repealed long ago, and certainly after right to information has stepped in. So, in fact, it should no more be an official, we need not have an Official Secrets Act anymore. We should not be taking an oath to keep secrets. On the contrary, we should be taking an oath to keep integrity. I think that is what has been missing. And as you've seen, the legislators have been legislating very little. We have a very strong backlog, very large backlog of outdated laws which we have not repealed or we have not strongly amended. India is in very strong need for legal reforms. And the culprits of this backlog is both the political class as well as the bureaucratic class. Because it is these two which have to support each other. One has to draft the bill and the other has to pass the bill. Unfortunately, the drafters and the bureaucrats have also not performed effectively. I am aware particularly of police reforms, if you ask me. And I know the biggest hurdle of in the police reforms, more than the political class, is the bureaucratic class. Do you know we are still governed by the Police Act of 1861? You talk of the Official Secrets Act left by the British. I'm talking of the Police Act of 1861 left by the British. Prisons Act of 1894 left by the British. And we are still governed by these. So India, we are suffering from a very strong backlog of outdated police. And I would, having been part of the bureaucracy in the past, I would say both these classes have actually caused this huge errors in legal reform.
Thank you, Rajaram Garu, and thank you, Ms. Bedi, for taking that question from the caller. We also have a couple of questions that were submitted online. These questions are more on the recent strategic decisions that Team Anna had taken. Anand Sharma from Colorado is asking, stopping Anna from fasting was the right thing to do, given his health, but why was the jail borough stopped and other activists asked to stop fasting?
This was a very careful decision taken by Anna at that time because the damage had already been done. The Lok Sabha, despite Anna's fast, despite the announcements of jail borough, the government, the party in power had already succeeded in passing a very weak Lokpal bill in the Lok Sabha. So Anna at that time took a considered view that now, rather than continuing this with this effort of jail borough, while of course he had to call off his fast because of failing health and doctors, I'm so glad that they saved him at the nick of time because it could have slipped into pneumonia. It was Anna's decision that since by jail borough, the Lok Sabha is not going to change its decision. We need not put more people into inconvenience and let this jail borough be for another time when it will help change a decision or cause the right impact. This was not going to cause any impact because the Lok Sabha had already passed the kind of bill which the government in power wanted. It is against that background that this decision the jail borough was put off.
Right, I see. Another question from Babu, New Delhi. Why does Annaji always go for fasting? Why can't other members also support him?
Other members have been supporting him. In fact, there were many other members who also took a fast along in Tamil Nadu. Unfortunately, there, when they sit on fast, it doesn't make news. It makes what makes news only is when Anna fasts. There have been many others who fasted alongside him. I'm personally aware in April, people took fast. There were people in Tamil Nadu. There were people all over the country, people who did fast. Unfortunately, the media did not focus on them.
Right. Mentioning of media, ma'am, I believe there were a couple of allegations and criticism against Team Anna as well. Shashi from Sunnyvale has a question for you. The allegations against you were projected very in a large scale by the media, but they didn't project your explanation that you have provided the same way. Maybe the media is not convinced completely, or maybe we need to work harder to say that all these allegations are false. Do we need to work hard on those aspects? Because somewhere down the line, these kind of allegations and criticisms also impact Team Anna's efforts and energy they are putting into the whole agitation.
Yes, it's like if you decide to throw mud on another's shirt, and then you ask that person, hey, your shirt is dirty. And you keep saying, but listen, you put this dirt on me. And the other person says, but no, I put it, but your shirt is dirty. And you keep saying, no, but you put through the mud. But then you keep saying, sorry, but your shirt is still dirty. Why is your shirt dirty? I think that's the point. That's what happened with Team Anna's. The people kept throwing mud at your clean shirts and then kept accusing you. But what made news was throwing of the mud. Throwing of the mud, not your statement that, listen, there was no mud on my shirt. It's you which has thrown it. So you, in a way, on one hand, you've been thrown mud at. On the other hand, you've been asked now, why is there dirt sticking to your shirt? That doesn't make news. This is what has happened with members of the team. None of us, fortunately, God's grace, none of us had issues of corruption. None.
Right,
but then mud was slung at each one of us only because you had to somewhere neutralize the situation because it was going too much of a walkover. On one hand, by cleaner group. On the other hand, people who were fully exposed. So I think it was too much of a walkover, and the dirty tricks department worked overtime to make this possible, and they succeeded to an extent. And as you know, in media, it's throwing mud and the mud sticking which makes news, and not the clean shirt.
Right, ma'am. But it's good to see that every single time Team Anna has come out strong and come out clean, much to the disliking of everybody else who was really after the team to malign them and demotivate them from the whole agitation.
That's true. That's true because there was so much of an inner confidence. There was so much of an inner faith in each one of us that we knew that this is nothing but the dirty tricks department, and this has to be encountered because, after all, you are exposing. You are in the game of exposing. Whatever Team Anna was doing was exposing corruption, and after all, people who were getting exposed obviously would be the sufferers, were becoming the victims, and naturally victims would retaliate in the manner in which they were very adept at. We were not good at dirty tricks. We are still straightforward people because we haven't learned the art of politics. Our politics is public life, but not politics as such. We are in public life, I agreed, but we are not in a dirty tricks department. None of us have learned the art of dirty tricks.
Right, ma'am. Moving on to the road ahead, there's a huge uphill battle that still needs to be fought. If you look at the brief timeline of the anti-corruption movement, it started April 7th to April 9th, they were fasting, jailburrows, SMSs. That ended with a deadline of August 15th for the government to actually pass the bill. El Sanna said he would go fasting on August 16th. And then Government of India agreed to complete its work by June 30th. And then August 16th to August 28th, 12-day fasting. It ended because the government said it will pass it during the winter session. And now we all know what happened in the winter session. So Kiranji, where do we go from here? Because you have given, the Team Anna has actually given hopes to millions and millions of Indians that civil society can actually force such a dramatic and a drastic change. So what is the future in terms of the taking the India Against Corruption movement forward?
Well, the present government in power has committed an offer to say it will be introduced now in the budget session. And budget session is a very fiery session, as you know, always. So, and sometimes the budgets are also passed as by the skin of the teeth or even as afterthoughts because you have to pass a budget. However, the government in power has committed itself to bring back the Lokpal issue back during the budget session. Now, I hope that will happen. We are going to come back to the same situation, but the Lok Sabha has already passed a weak bill. Rajya Sabha will stick to its own views unless, of course, there are dramatic changes or shifts. Like the Trinamool has talked about strong federal concept. It is totally, they and while without joining hands, their view and the view of the left and the view of the BJP is the same, which makes a majority, which means that when it comes to numbers, if voting takes place, then a different kind of bill will be passed by Rajya Sabha, which takes you to a joint session or need for a joint session. So when you jointly meet, over 700 MPs meet, it will come back to numbers again. So everything will be put to as amendment of the joint session. So every amendment would be put to vote. So whoever has the vote. Now, the voting is likely to be impacted hugely by the UP elections, by the Punjab elections, by Uttarakhand elections, by Goa elections, and Manipur elections. So I think things would be clearer only by the first week of March when the results start pouring in, which will be 5th, 6th of March, where political parties will know whether they've increased in their area of influence or decreased. And that will impact their influence on the Lokpal when it comes up in the budget session.
I see. So you mentioned how the elections play a very key role. Is Team Anna planning on campaigning against Congress in UP yet again this time, ma'am?
The Team Anna, the core group took a conscious decision that now there is more than one party. Earlier, we were focusing on the party in power because it was the party in power which drafts the bill, which has the privilege of drafting the bill, which has the privilege of introducing a bill. Now there is more than one party which has given us a weak Lokpal. We have one story of Lok Sabha, we have one story of Rajya Sabha. Now we've decided, since it's a very big of a khichdi now, it's a very muddled affair, we are now planning to do voter awareness campaign to let people know who did what in Lok Sabha, who did what in Rajya Sabha, and who can do whatever people need for a better governance. And then we are going to advise the voters to make better, more informed choices and to value the power of their vote. And to finally say, since everybody seems to be in the similar situation, therefore choose comparatively cleaner candidates. If you don't have a choice, then go back and use the 49O form. Ask the presiding officer that you want to exercise a right to reject, which you want to say no vote. Therefore, if you have a candidate, choose a candidate, prefer a candidate over a party, and between candidates, choose a comparatively a better, cleaner candidate. And third, if you still don't find anybody, you have a right to say no and none of the above. Choose the right to reject vote, which is the form. So go to the presiding officer, register your presence, and then pick up that form and sign up to say none of the above. So we are giving voter awareness, which many, many voters do not know, that they have a right to no choice, right to no vote through this presiding officer. So we're spreading voter awareness and suggesting them not to get sold, not to get swayed, not to get tempted, but to comparatively choose better candidates.
Right. I think on the same topic, Vijay Panaliappan from LA, he has a question. In India, voters are divided by the caste, the religion, the language, and mostly influenced by money or freebies or quota. And all political parties are very good in using these to get the votes. How is Team Anna going to influence these voters and help make their decisions based on how the Lokpal bill has been dealt with by the different political parties?
Oh, the good news is that a lot of considerable work has already been done. Whatever Team Anna was doing has registered in a common man's mind hugely. So it's not going to be that he or she is dependent on our last bid explaining and voter awareness in February. He is already aware. More than 350 cities had already agitated for the Jan Lokpal bill. So the matter is already settled. Corruption has been a very big issue whole of last year, the whole of last year. So therefore, and the last Tamil Nadu elections established that even if the voters take the freebies or come in big numbers to your caste meetings or other meetings, they finally vote, they take the freebies, saying, well, of course, it was our money. Many people were asked in Tamil Nadu last time that you took this machine, you took this grinder, you took this money, 500 rupees, and yet you voted for somebody else. They said, yes, we took because it belongs to us anyway. The money was ours, they said. This money anyway belonged to us, so we decided to take the money, but we voted the way we wanted to vote. So Indian voter has become very smart. He takes what he gets sometimes, but he votes the way he wants.
Right. On the same subject, ma'am, you said a lot of work has been put in for the past year or so. Sunil Kale from India wants to know if Kiran Ji, are you planning on starting a IAC women wing, a Facebook page, a village women education wing on specifically focused on the corruption issues?
No, we're not separating women wing from the male wing, nor are we separating the youth wing from the elders wing. We continue to go Indians Against Corruption or IAC, and in the movements wherever we've been, wherever we've seen, volunteers comprise of all age groups and both the genders. And so therefore, we are not at the moment separating and segregating, because the moment you segregate gender, you may start segregating areas, you may segregate castes, you may segregate faiths. That's not, it's a very integrated movement where I would not propound. However, I would certainly persuade and encourage many more girls to come forward, because when women and girls form a human chain against corruption, it attracts much more attention. And it's easier to handle police if women are steering the agitation. But I wouldn't probably start another separate IAC girls page against corruption, but I would really persuade and coax and request and urge more and more women and girls to step out of their comfort zones and join the movement and be visible in March onwards, because you've got to now look out to see what we need to do in March. While we do voter awareness now, March will have to be very carefully watched. And in the event, Anna makes an announcement of creating a pressure, we must all get out of the comfort zones and step on the streets and be where Anna is.
Right. So we also have another call wanting to ask you a question. Can the caller please announce the name, the place, and make the question short? Thank you.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Bedi. My name is Raja Aisola. I'm an NRI from Los Angeles, California. I read in the Western Media and the Time magazine, the Lokpal bill, which was passed, is a watered down version. My question to you is, what is our next plan of action to strengthen this bill?
Well, our hope lies in the numbers. If the Rajya Sabha continues to be strong, we lose one, we win one. We lose one is that we don't get a national bill. We get only we don't get a national bill, the kinds of Lok Sabha, the manner in which the Lok Sabha passed, where same Lokpal, a strong Lokpal, becomes also strong Lok Ayuks in the states. But the win is from the Rajya Sabha is that they had moved an amendment for independent CBI, which I think is priority number one. Now, if that happens, then what happens in March is that you're going to go into joint session. In the joint session, if the numbers win over in the amendments, and if the numbers, better numbers come in for CBI's independence, CBI's moving to Lokpal, I think we would have achieved what we are, at least we would have achieved 80%. So I think the hope is in what kind of results come up after March, and the results would impact on the voting influence in the Parliament in March in the budget session.
Right. Thank you, Raja Garu, and thank you, Ms. Bedi, for taking that question. We have another question from online from Ajay Tota, New Jersey. Ms. Bedi, I supported Anna's movement. However, I strongly believe electoral reforms would have been more lasting and far-reaching impact, especially the right to reject and right to recall. It is the only way to ensure high turnout and fair elections. How easy is this in terms of creating awareness about the right to rejection, ma'am? Because this, again, has another similar question from Vijay from Los Angeles saying, voting 49-0 is a difficult option. You're exposed to others. It means secrecy of my vote is exposed. We need electoral reforms to include 49-0 as a button. Can Team Anna push for this issue, for example, in Tamil Nadu? Because he's saying my friends face the same issue while doing 49-0.
Absolutely right. This is what the Election Commission is also actually batting for, right to reject. Do you know these matters, some of these reforms are pending with the government for over a decade, including the right to reject to be brought onto the electronic machine. So the EC is also expecting civil society to come together on raising a huge collective voice for government to move to clear its pending electoral reforms. One is right to reject. Second is barring candidates who've been charged with criminal offenses. At the moment, the law is, unless you're convicted. The electoral reform, which EC has been asking for, is when they're charged by. I think that would go a long, long way. Third, what the Election Commission has been asking is transparency in public political funding, open auditing, normal auditing of political funds, inner democracy. By inner democracy means regular their internal elections. If these are things which are achieved by what even the Election Commission is saying, which is held up by the government of India. So they're not even listening to the Election Commission. So therefore, we need to strengthen provide the wind and the storm behind these electoral reforms, which even the Election Commission is batting for, with the government of India has not succeeded for the last 1 decade. So therefore, civil society is not the only voice. Election Commission has been asking, but the government, every party in power, whichever came in the last decade, has been just sitting on it. I think whoever said it said it rightly. Electoral reforms are the key. We have to get the criminals out of our system. At the moment, more than 170 with people with criminal charges are sitting in the parliament. How do you expect them to be passing anti-corruption bills or bills which would bar people with criminal records? So therefore, we are already in a catch-22. We need to, and then how would you have a corruption fall in the normal functioning, where political parties themselves are more in protecting rather than exposing their accounts? And how would you have funding? Look at the amount of black money which is being caught on the streets today. Why? Because the funding is by check is minimal. Maximum is by cash. And that is why it is being caught. And that's why you have a parallel economy. So electoral reforms is the key. And we need to back the election commission on issues which it is asking for. And unless we are a big force, visible force, when Anna gives this next call, government will, nothing will change.
Right, thank you. We have another question that was posted on NRISamay.com. The question is, many others like Dr. Jay Prakash Narayan, Baba Ramdev, and some other folks from different walks of life are also fighting against corruption in their own way. But it seems that there is a difference in what each of these leaders are focusing on. So do you plan to take them along with you and make a formidable force and work together? Is that something Team Anna is looking forward to?
Absolutely. This is not a monopoly. The anti-corruption movement is not a monopoly of few people, neither of Anna. When we hold these agitations or hold these rallies, anybody and everybody has been joining in. Groups from Art of Living have been joining in. They've been actually been a part of the whole organization. Baba Ramdev's groups have been joining. People from different ideologies have been joining. I can't imagine why would anti-corruption be not their need as well. But the only thing is the platform, Anna's platform, remains non-political and non-ideological.
Right. Okay. Another question from Shashi Sunnyvale. He's saying we have lost quite a bit of media support in the last 2 months, and their support was a major reason we could also pull thousands of people in the fasting, the 12-day fasting in August. What is the plan to get media's confidence again and to have them support us?
Is by the youth being visible there. The media follows numbers. Media follows people. Media follows crowds. Media follows eyeballs. Media follows footfalls. When Anna gives the next call, people will have to step out of their comfort zones in homes and be where Anna is, to be counted. I think that's the point. When Ram Leela ground is full, media followed. When Jantar Mantar was full, media followed. Media follows news. And next time when Anna gives a call, and if people are also there, it is their call. They need to be seen. They need to be seen and not delegated to somebody else.
Right.
If Anna is sacrificing himself, or his team Anna is also giving all whatever it has, then it's as much a duty of the youngsters to be out there on the streets also with Anna and to say, we are with you. Not just email saying we are with you. Not just Twitter and Facebook that we are with you. I've been getting so many Twitters on my mail saying, we are with you. But where are you? If you're with me, but where are you? Be there where it gets to be counted. So be when people are doing a head count, and governments do head counts, and media's cameras do head counts. You are there as a head count, media will follow you. If you're not there, media will say you were not there. And therefore, they will say the media, Anna's movement is fizzled out. Or media will say Anna's movement has gathered momentum. Media will report as it is on the ground. Media will neither understate and nor overstate.
Right. Another sort of ambitious question, or more of an idealistic question from Kripal in Singapore. Can some kind of an NRI event be organized against corruption by IAC? This can be held twice a year in India, whereby NRIs across the globe can share their thoughts, best practices on governance and technology usage to help the common man fight corruption.
So that's a good idea. But tell me how many will come? Will 20,000 come? Will 30,000 come? If you want to make an impact, and it's not a seminar of 100 people, it's not going to be making a difference. Seminar of even 500 will not make the difference. Yes, 10,000 will. If you can come together as 10,000, you see the change. You will drive the change. But if you think a seminar of 500 will make the difference, it will not make the difference. But if you really want to make the difference, then come and fill up the Ramlila ground, and then you see the difference. And then stay put. Stay put for a while, not just fly by night. Stay put. And then you see the sacrifice will give you enormous results. So I think that's the point. If as an NRI movement, out of so many millions we have, if few thousand decide to come, 10,000 saying we are going to come and rescue our own country and see that this country gets it, you will see the change. The Ram Leela, unless Ram Leela was full, you would have not even had this bill drafted by now. You would not even have known which party stands for what. It is Anna's sacrifice of all this effort which has even made it possible for the bill to be drafted, however weak it is. At least we know where the party in power stands and where the opposition party stands. We did not know till they opened their mouths on the floor of the House.
Right, ma'am. We can clearly see, hear from the voice, your voice, how strongly you believe in this cause and how badly you want things to be changed. And that's something that we all admire. A few folks coming together and from different walks of life, teaming up and working towards one common goal with such strong passions and determination is really commendable.
No, but I appreciate that. But I can tell you, if we can rescue the CBI out of the political clutches, India you will have an immediate rise in GDP, because the fear itself will become a deterrent, and prevention will pump back a lot of legitimate money into infrastructure, and better infrastructure means more development, and more development means increase in prosperity. I think it has a very positive cycle, just as corruption has a negative cycle, but fear, prevention, punishment, finality of the punishment, and recovery of stolen property itself has also a very positive effect in growth. So I think this is what, if you as NRI movement decide saying, we will land up in March, decide to come in March, April, we will land up in March and April, NRIs are coming from all directions, 10,000 of you, we'll book the Ramlila ground for you. We'll book the Ramlila ground. You tell me the date, do an NRI movement, we'll book the ground for you. We'll be with you. Come in March, saying till the budget session is passed, we are staying put to see what's going on. You see the change. This will be bigger than Arab Spring, I can tell you. If NRIs decide 10,000 of them coming from all directions, Africa, Latin America, United States, UK, Asia, are all around, you decide to come and saying we are now with Anna in March, but we're not asking Anna to fast. Anna, just be with us at Ramlila ground. We are with you as NRI movement. I will tell you, you will get what you want.
I think on the contribution of NRIs, because most of the listeners are, NRIs, I think one question that constantly comes to our mind, and Shrikant from LA has rightly put, what do you think was the support you received from NRIs? Do you think they are organized in a way that they can put enough pressure? And if there is anything that comes to your mind in a way that NRIs can significantly contribute, I mean, one instance was NRIs did a 240-mile Dandi March in California in sometime in 2011 March, and this was it inspired a lot of other chapters, IAC chapters, and other people from other walks of life within the United States and even other countries. They also did similar kind of walks to coincide with the end of the 240-mile walk. So that was something that got a lot of media attention and was a buzz for at least for some time. So this is again a broader question on NRI's contribution.
Absolutely, but again, remember it's numbers. Can't all Indians come together in New York, outside the United Nations, and tell the United Nations that India is violating its UN Convention against Corruption, and that it's excluding the judiciary, it's excluding and it's providing immunity. So there's so many things which it can. But unless you all come together in numbers, as I'm telling you, in political change, what matters is numbers. Unless you show the numbers, you will never be able to create the impact. General awareness, participation is all very good. It has its own role. But if you're driving the change, unless you show numbers, it will not drive the change. And these people are, those individuals who choose to be corrupt have to be very thick-skinned. It doesn't matter unless their survival is at stake. And survival at stake for a politician is only by numbers. It's shaken only by numbers. You have to be shameless to be corrupt. So those people who are in power and have chosen to be corrupt are shameless people. They're only concerned about the survival. And survival only is threatened by numbers. So unless you show the numbers, in India, it has to be voters. You are numbers, here we are voters. There you can also be voters because some of you can use the right to vote. But unless you show the numbers, it will not change. It will not impact. And therefore, show the numbers outside New York UN office, particularly saying we want a strict enforcement of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Ask for that. Unless 10,000 of you are outside the United Nations, it will not shake them. So you want to be shaken? Get all these associations, Indian associations together. You have so many Indian associations, they may be belonging to different states. Unless you come together, you will not make that impact. You will not create that turmoil, you will not turn it upside down, or you will not create that tsunami. You need to create that tsunami. And tsunami cannot come without numbers.
Right. I mean,
you see the kind of tsunami Anna had created, 16th of August onwards till 29th, it was that tsunami on his own life. 12th day, if Anna had not broken fast, Anna would have had to be hospitalized because Anna had almost reached his end. Doctor would not have spared him. And if Anna had gone to hospital on the 12th day, there would have been violence in the country. So therefore the parliament rushed to pass a unanimous resolution, which it violated in letter and spirit later on. But it had to do it. So you have to show the numbers, the tsunami, unless you create a tsunami. So NRIs outside can create a tsunami by coming together, at least on this platform of anti-corruption. Whether you're Tamilians or Malayalams or Punjabis or Gujaratis, or whether in Los Angeles, whether you're in Houston, whether you are in Vancouver, come together. Unless you come together outside the United Nations, do this in March, before the session begins. Before the parliament session begins, give a clarion call to NRIs. Assemble on this Sunday outside UN, where we want now an effective Jan Lokpal bill. Effective, not the weak bill which has been passed by the Lok Sabha. Unless you do that, your roles would make a difference, but will not shake them, will not change, will not make them alter their course. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So what you're basically saying is, unless and until we have numbers to back up whatever we are doing, it's not going to make an impact.
Yes, awareness will continue. You are continuing to make yourself aware. You continuing to be updated in whatever is happening, but it's not drive the change. It will not compel change.
Right.
I'm saying it will not compel Indian change here. You will make an impact, but it will not change. But if you want the change, then you have to show the number in New York.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think most of the people, the Dandi March here that was done in California was something. One person actually picked it up, and he sort of came about the concept of this 240-mile walk, and then how other chapters came together and did this whole event. So is IAC open to suggestions from other volunteers, or when we have something concrete, is something that we can easily reach the IAC core team members and discuss, and maybe you may have the suggestions?
Have I not been accessible to you, sir? So you can send the suggestions. You're most welcome. But as I said, concentrate, focus your energy on what will drive the change, what will compel the change. Unless you come together, you will all make individual efforts. As I said, all these are very salutary, They're very awareness generation. They're very uniting. They create the little ripples. These are all wonderful ripples and waves, but they're not tsunamis.
Right, right.
Unless you create a tsunami, the shock waves will not come to the parliament.
That's true.
And tsunami will come only when you as Indian associations come together as organized. Get the students community, get the business community, get the women, whichever you want, and present a memorandum of association to Ban Ki-moon to say we want an effective Lokpal and not a CBI which is further getting divided. Instead of making CBI independent, they have divided the CBI's work. Further, they weakened even the CBI by the new Lokpal bill. That's what I'm saying.
Right, right. One listener actually has posted a question, or rather a suggestion. He's saying that we'll build placards and hold banners to sham any MP or political leader who visits United States or anywhere abroad. If he or she hasn't passed the General Lokpal bill, we'll hold these placards to demonstrate that we are still angry and we show them our angst. Do you think such efforts make any difference? Or, again, going back to the same point that you said, that unless we have strong numbers to back it up, it wouldn't make an impact?
This will only make a flash of a news of showing that you still have the angst and you people are angry, but it will not compel the voting change. So while keep showing the anger, alongside you must do something which will compel them to vote differently. So you've got to do both.
Right, right. And to all our listeners, please visit us on facebook.com/NRISamay and like the Facebook page. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please keep posting them. And
I'm also on Twitter. My handle is the Kiran Bedi. Stay in touch with me on the Kiran Bedi. I keep posting a lot of messages on at the Kiran Bedi.
Thank you. There you go, folks. So we can get a first-hand information from Kiran Bedi Ji at the Kiran Bedi on Twitter. And before we let you go, ma'am, one quick question. The Yes, Madam, Sir, the documentary that was made on your life, I think way back in September 2008, could you please share a few experiences? Because you look really, I mean, I haven't seen you when you were the DGP, the police commissioner, but I only saw this documentary, and you were really looking very formidable, and you had that fear factor in you. So can you please share the experience for our listeners?
Yes, this movie documentary biopic has been released in Australian cinemas, but has yet to make it to the rest of the countries, and also be available as a DVD or elsewhere. So the producer still is controlling the rights limited to Australia and its Australian cinema. I think she's still looking for the right kind of distributor so that the movie or the DVD is in our hands. Even I don't have a copy of it. So maybe we just wait for it till you get it. But the whole bottom line of that is fight against corruption in that. The whole movie is based on, you see, corruption is not sometimes only in terms of money. It's intention also. It's in processes. It's in decisions. So I think the whole movie it has been a fight against corrupt intentions, corrupt practices, and corruption per se of transfers and posting policies. So once it is in, I'm sure it will be available in our hands.
Right. And thank you very much for your time. Ma'am, it's already pretty late, I think, in India. And we all wish you a very happy and successful endeavor in all your future efforts. And if there is anything else beyond that NRIs can actually contribute, please do let us know. And we will be actively following your work on Twitter, on IAC pages, and keep tuning into you or the rest of the Anna team as well.
Yeah, and look out for www.nriac.org. I think you've also got a website, Non-Resident Indians Against Corruption.org, NRIAC.org. So you can link all these together so that people have a full network.
Right. Right. So there you go, folks. Non-resident Indians Against Corruption.org is the website.
NRIAC.org. Yeah.
NRIAC.org. And as Kiran Bedi Ji mentioned, unless and until we take up strong actions with numbers to back us up, we won't be able to make a significant dent in this movement against corruption. So taking that as a cue from this call, hopefully we can have some, the message is loud and clear for all our listeners, and if anyone is seriously interested in pursuing this further, there are a lot of organizations here, as Kiranji mentioned, and so we can significantly contribute to this movement as a big NRI team. And thank you once again, Kiranji. We hope to have you back again, this time with good news.
Good. Thank you so much. Wish you well. And I can tell you we'll have a much brighter future if we show the right numbers at the right time. And look out for March. March is going to be very, very vital for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Have a good night.
Thank you. All the best to you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you, friends. That was Suresh Ediga with Madam Kiran Ji, and we had an excellent program today. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I did. So please remember, next week at the same time, we have a program with BJP State President of Andhra Pradesh. His name is Kiran Bedi Ji. So at the same time, we'll have a session with him. We will focus on, we will continue our discussion on the Lokpal bill. We want to know about BJP's stand on it and what they are going to do in the next parliament session. And folks, we'll also talk about various issues like elections both in various states and also in Andhra Pradesh. Then we'll talk about the contemporary issues. We want to listen from BJP. It is the main opposition party in India. So, folks, please come back again next week and make the show successful. Then, as you have noticed, you can call into the program and talk to the guest. There is a phone number for that. Then you can also chat and submit your questions live with our host at NRISamay.com, and we will ask those questions. All our programs are focused on your questions more than what we prepare. So please participate, and folks, come back next week. Also visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/NRISamay. Link the page and like the page, and also share it with your friends because we want to spread our word. And finally, friends, we are a small team at NRISamay. So if you are interested in listening to our shows, maybe you will be interested in participating, be a volunteer, and then you get a chance to talk to these great people we do on a weekly basis. So if you are interested, leave a message on facebook.com/NRISamay. We are looking for 2 or 3 more volunteers so that we can have these shows on a regular basis every week. Then, folks, we not only bring popular people, like for example, this week it was Kiran Bedi, but we also bring several others who are not popular and who may not get chance in the mainstream media, but they are making a significant change on the ground level. So we bring those people also. So please stay tuned. I think we have exciting guests coming up. Okay, thanks, folks. Just enjoy this song, and see you all next week.